Okay, so first thing I wanted to share with you guys is I had an experience. So if you read one of the emails or my post on Facebook about my rafting trip on Sunday, it was funny because Ben wanted to go on a Category 5 rafting trip, and I was like, oh, that sounds like fun, but I was a little bit like, well, that's interesting. Like, it's a Category 5, and they have, the rafts are going straight down these waterfalls and stuff, and they kept preparing us the whole way. And so, if you fall out, just come back to the boat, and if you fall out, just hold on. And like, you have all these moves, and if you've ever been whitewater rafting, that you have to, like, the guide is telling you, paddle forward, paddle back. What is it called? Jump in, down, jump in and down. And that means, there's a big chance you're going to fall out of the raft, right? When he says jump in and down, or whatever it was, whatever the command was. So anyway, we kind of get to the end and nobody fell out. It wasn't quite as dangerous, people flying out of the raft. But they said, okay, cool, everybody, if you want to get out, you can float down the rest of the river and we can see this little part of the rapids that didn't look too bad at all. And everybody's like, yay. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And it was like my energy just popped up, because the first thing that was there was like, ah, like I was like, I don't know about that, but it was only like a nanosecond. And then it was like everything in the universe was like pushing my body up to go, okay, get in, do it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm doing this. So, I'm brave. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. So we went skydiving this year, and we've done a lot of other things together, which have been super fun for me. But this one, so I jump in, and then of course the river takes you to where down the river, right? So there's one little wave rapid thing first, and they said, just put your feet up, hold on to your life vest, and you'll be fine. You'll just float down, right? But that first wave, somehow I got this way, and my head is here, my head started going underwater more. And I got pulled under, and I don't know how deep it was, but I couldn't just pop my head up. And there was a whole bunch of rapids, and I don't know, it was probably like 30, 45 seconds, maybe a minute to go down the whole way. But when you get pulled under that way and you don't just pop back up, for me, it was like, okay, what just happened? Where did I go? Where am I? It was almost like my universe spun around. And when I came back up to grab some air, I was thinking, oh, good, okay, air. And then literally got like a half, probably not even half a sip of air, and then got pulled back under again. And then it was like that. So it was like down, and every time I came up, I barely was getting air and water in when I was breathing in. So I was half like choking and half trying to get air and just going like the whole way, and at the same time thinking, if I could just hold my breath, I know this isn't very long. I could see the end. If I could just hold my breath. And that's what I was saying. Here's, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. So I made it to the end, and I was so disoriented. It literally was like my whole reality, just somebody spun it around. And I could barely stand. I was sort of maybe what you would call in shock or whatever. And just discombobulated. And so I finally stood up, and somebody kept saying, like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I kept saying yes, but I wasn't. Right? And I was like, gosh, that's the tough girl in me going, yeah, I'm fine because I'm alive. I'm okay. I'm not hurt. But I wasn't fine. Like, I was like, but that guy, there's nothing he could have done at that particular moment, right? So I'm standing there going, okay, that was weird. And I didn't think too much of it. So after a couple of days, I was getting just agitated and even more grumpy. And I thought maybe I left my body. And so I was like, oh, I can just go back to my body. And then all of a sudden it just got worse and worse. And the second morning I woke up, and it was like I had a vice on my head, and I was so grumpy, and I bit Ben's head off, and he's like, what is going on with you? I was like, I don't know what's going on right now, but I am not feeling okay. And I was starting to feel sick. Like all these things were going on. And so I was like, okay, I just need to lay down. And I went to lay down, and I just popped on this video, and all of a sudden the energy started to shift. And the thing that I realized in watching this video, she was energetically giving me exactly what I needed to know in the moment. I realized that I didn't leave my body, I left my reality. So when I'll probably have more awareness about it all over time, because that's kind of what happens. But what I'm aware of right now is that there had been an energetic upgrade trying to happen. And this, like, sort of me getting discombobulated or spun around in that moment of going, just trying to survive, all other points of view go away. Everything else goes away in that moment of total presence. Like, I had to be absolutely 100% present to make it through that experience. So everything else had to sort of unattach for a moment. And that's when the energetic upgrade can happen. So these energetic upgrades they can be really hard if we're holding on to stuff. And there was a few things that I was holding on to that I didn't really realize until after this experience, in really stepping into what I'm really here to contribute in the world. And I've known this for a long time. And now that, there's certain events in my life that I've chosen, like retirement from what I was doing before and really stepping into this, is like, I'm more congruent now than I ever have been before. And there were some last little bits where I wasn't trusting myself fully, especially in what I'm delivering now and where I'm going, that when I was watching this video, I went, oh, okay. So I left that reality in that moment. I said, okay, good. Bring me fully congruent with the new reality. And it was like, in a nanosecond, the vice on my head was gone. The grumpiness was gone. And I just felt peace. Like, it was just like, oh, hi, there I am. Who am I? So in the last couple of days, how many days has it been? A couple of days. Like, I'm so hot right now even talking about this. In the last couple of days, I've just had awareness after awareness after awareness of really what I'm here for now, which is different than a couple of years ago, which is different than a few years before that, which is different than a few years before that, because you'll become aware of what you're here for in bits, in the next bit, in the next bit, in the next bit. It doesn't happen necessarily at the whole time. Some people do. Some people get the full download and then boom, it's there. But the evolutionary process to this is different for everybody. They're energetic upgrades. Some people, have a traumatic event and go into a coma and they wake up and they're actualized into a different being or a different everything. So talk about intense, but everything is so clear. Like, everything I was sort of dealing with or wondering about or confusing myself about before is gone. It's so clear and it's so easy. So we set up this call and it was just like bing, bang, boom. Here's the name. Here's the thing. And we have, 137 of you guys on right now. And I think over 500 people signed up. And it was just like, wow, this is the energy that is what I'm here to be right now. Excuse me. So, okay. So with that upgrade and stepping into that level of congruency, when you have to let go. You have to let go. Otherwise, the universe intervenes and says, okay, it's time now, right? And it'll either, your marriage of 25 years falls apart. You get in the head. You slip and fall and break your ankle, like somebody told me yesterday. Something happens to redirect you into where you need to be, into the energy you need to be. So you stop focusing and making a priority this reality. And when you're making this reality a priority over what you came for, then you will literally be distracted and it doesn't really work that well. So if you're making a priority belonging, fitting in, doing things right, living right. I spent most of my life until a number of years ago trying to get this reality right, and I never could do it. I never could get this reality right. It just every turn I would make, everything I thought, oh yeah, this would be great, I'll create this, it just failed every single time. And it was because I was coming from getting this reality right, finally having this reality work for me. And that wasn't the direction, that wasn't the energy, that wasn't the consciousness that was required to have sort of what I really knew was possible.